Hi, and welcome to Getting Down to Business, a public affairs program in partnership with TBNK and the Covington Business Council. This show is designed to highlight individuals who are making a difference in the Covington and Kenton County economy. My name is Pat Frew. I'm the Executive Director of the Covington Business Council and the host for the show. Today I want to introduce you to former restaurateur Josh Rhodes. I hope that's okay saying former, Josh. Who knows? Maybe you'll probably be back there one day.
I probably will.
That's right. Josh began working for the City of Covington earlier this year as part of the ReCOV program, helping to support the vibrant restaurant community amid the pandemic. And he's here on the program today to talk about the work which began at the outset of the summer. Hi, Josh, and thanks for being here today.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Pat.
Great. Let's get down to business here. So, Josh, you have a long history of working in restaurants in Covington. Tell everybody about that.
So, about 13 years ago, almost, probably going on 14 years now, I was approached from some friends in Louisville that were thinking about opening up an Irish pub called Malones here in Covington, 4th and Court Street. We occupied the old Jack Quinn's building, which was a beautiful pub. We didn't really know a whole lot about Northern Kentucky at the time, but we knew the Reds, the Bengals. Newport on the Levee was a new kind of exciting venue coming afloat, and we saw potential and opportunity. So we opened up 13 years ago, and it started off very slow. I mean, as you know, Pat, you've been around in the city. It's kind of been a slow kind of developing, city as far as businesses and the economy. We've kind of been able to successfully operate that pub now for going on 13 years, like I said. And now I've kind of ventured out for a little bit and tried to kind of help and operate 2 other restaurants under different ownership groups, one being Alto Pizza Kitchen and the other being Parlor on 7th. So I've been around to kind of meet all the vendors, meet all the different restaurant owners, and it's very much so. Restaurants are very much their own little community.
Right.
Restaurant industry people, as we call them, tend to hang out and run with industry people, if you will.
Right. It's a very tough business, so you need a really strong support network, and you all know what you go through. So that kind of binds you together even more tightly, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a public service. It really is. People have the need to be social. They want to gather into these environments, and that's kind of what's been the biggest challenge through the pandemic is, how restaurants and bars can continue to provide that social, fun, laid-back atmosphere, while everybody's practicing social distancing, being safe. It can be a very stressful career. It can be, you have your great days, your St. Patrick's days, your opening days, and then you have some of the dog days of summer where the heat's just beating down, or in the winter,
right.
You get snowed out, and, you definitely experience it, your highs and your lows. But it's definitely like kind of handling a young child. It's something that you're involved with every day, and you have to continue to nurture it and change it to keep it interesting to the public and the consumer.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more. For someone that's never owned a restaurant before, or had a leadership stake in a restaurant, or heavily invested in it, tell us what it's like to work in that business. I mean, some of the challenges, employee challenges, things like that. Let's get into the whole sordid mess there.
Well, you can open up a big can of worms there. It is very challenging. I mean, you operate on thin margins.
Yeah.
Food costs, labor costs are definitely, especially for a restaurant, are your biggest things that you're trying to watch and control every day, because you don't know what business is going to come in on any given day of the week. So you're always trying to be prepared, scheduling, staffing wise, to be as busy as possible or you imagine that you would be. But then there's times where, you're having to cut servers and staff, send people home early, and it's something that you don't like to do, but it's one of those necessary evils, I guess I would say, of your business's survival. It's definitely it's definitely not one of those jobs where I would say, like, you know, it looks easy, so I can do it. You know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I'd open a restaurant. And like, I look at it, I was like, don't do it. You know, because it's, you know, it really consumes your life. You know, you know, the phone calls don't stop just because you're not there. You know, there's always somebody could be calling in sick, you know, or somebody gets hurt on the job. A customer, heaven forbid, falls down the stairs or trips. You know, there's just all types of different, you know, scenarios that could happen at any given time, you know, and it may not be even anything of your wrongdoing. It could just be a freak accident or something, but, you know, it can be very unnerving and stressful at times. But like I said, you kind of have your highs and your lows. I mean, coming from the Irish pub business, you know, being able to participate in St. Patrick's Day here in Northern Kentucky and really becoming one of those staple places that, you know, thousands and thousands of people come to that one day a year. I mean, it really is exciting to manage and to, you know, to kind of put on the show for them, you know, schedule the bands, have the tents lined up, have the beer trailers organized and laid out on the street to, you know, maximize your space. You know, there's just a lot that goes into the event planning side of things. But we also, you know, are afforded the opportunity to, you know, host some of these wonderful events, joyous events for families, young couples, engagement parties, rehearsal dinners, birthdays, you know, so and it's fun seeing that type of thing, and you get to be around it, and your regulars, your good customers, and you kind of get to know their families and their friends, and you really kind of grow your social network, which is, you know, something that's very comforting.
Right. And, you know, the part about the food inventory and the staff and things like that, if you have more customers than you have per capita, say, of servers, or you run out of food or things like that, all those things can negatively affect the operation. And as we know, restaurants in the age of social media, restaurants fall victim to that all the time. You can get destroyed on social media if you're hit with you know, a blaze of people and you don't have enough staff or you don't have enough food. It's just got to be awful.
You definitely, you know, with the days of Yelp and Facebook, it really has changed the way that you look at things and the way you operate. You know, but it's most important to communicate to the customer. You know, you have to make yourself appear to be human to them. I mean, we are business owners, we are business operators, but, you know, we are human as well. You know, we rely on distribution chains, and we have orders that come in 2 days a week, you know, so it's not just as simple as running out to Kroger real quick or going over to Party Source, because, you know, legally we're not allowed to go to Party Source and buy liquor. You know, so it's like, oh, well, this should be available. I can go across the street and get some right now. It's like, well, you can, but then, you know, my liquor license could be taken away.
Right. Yes, exactly. So let's talk a little more about Covington and what makes it different than, say, other communities in our region. How many restaurants do we have, and how would you describe the vibe here as opposed to on the Cincinnati side? You worked for a while at Malones and Pleasant Ridge,
yes.
So you've worked on both sides of the river. So how many restaurants in Covington, and what makes it so different from other areas?
So through some of my research, I know we have over 80 liquor licenses in the city, and then there's also, you know, numerous restaurants like some of your fast casual places like your McDonald's and Chipotle's and stuff that aren't serving alcohol. So we could be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 plus restaurants in the area, and you know, what I find unique about Covington is how Covington's always kind of encouraged businesses to be different, to be unique, you know, show a little bit of your quirky side. Growing up in Louisville, there was a big campaign growing up saying, keep Louisville weird. And, you know, I really felt like Covington has done even a better job of embracing that. But what I enjoy about Covington and what I've kind of found as I've gotten to know the other business owners and other establishments is, you know, we really are, you know, a home to the small, independently owned business, which, you know, you have a lot of individuals that, you know, dedicate their lives to their establishments, and you know, it's very fun and unique to kind of have that here, because everything can be a little bit different. You know, it's not like a corporate mandate like if you're going into BW3s, you know, you're going to see roughly the same tap handles across the country of, you know, what beers they have on draft. Here in Covington, the restaurants have so much of their own creative freedom to where they can, make their restaurants kind of be more individual type establishments, and so that's been a really fun part of it. And then just trying to keep it interesting, because our communities, our entertainment zones are surrounded by neighborhoods and other businesses that operate 365 days a year just like us. And so trying to it's a fun challenge in the city to find ways to stay unique and to stay in the spotlight.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been impressed about, and we're going to get to the pandemic and how the city has been very responsive to the bars and restaurants, but one of the things that I've been impressed by is the attitude of the owners saying that customer safety comes first. Whereas you think that a lot of these establishments, just in general, one of the misconceptions or negative stereotypes is they're just out for the money and to get me to drink as much as I can so they can make more money. No, if they don't have customers that are kept safe, they're going to lose customers. They're going to go out of business anyhow. So I've been really impressed with their attitude to protecting the safety of their customers.
The city has been very proud and very thankful to our business owners, particularly the restaurant and bar owners, because it is a lot of the enforcement and of the social distancing guidelines has been left up to the restaurants and bars, the employees, the servers, the barbacks, the bartenders, the cooks, stopping the delivery guy at the door and say, "Hey, mask on, please." To helping the customers get to a table, sit down, and we're not providing menus to them right now. It's like, please pull your cell phone out and pull your menu up. But even when the mask mandate came out, a lot of our restaurants and bars immediately, had adopted it and put it into practice before it became an issue with judges saying like, "Oh, well, this is unconstitutional. You can't make us wear masks." The restaurants and bars said, "No, we're going to enforce this. We are going to follow the governor's guidelines," and they've taken it on themselves. And the reason why I see that is, like you indicated, this is a fight for their survival. Restaurants and bars, the experts say could take a 25 to 30% hit. And that, when I say hit, I mean closures. So that would mean roughly, Covington could lose anywhere from 30 to 40 restaurants by the time, this is all said and done. And that's why it's so important, and these restaurant owners and bar owners have taken it so serious, because they can't endure another shutdown. And what's the way to avoid that? By enforcing these guidelines, keeping people safe, and keeping your doors open.
Right. Okay. It's time for us to take a break. You're watching Taking Care of Business, and we will return in a moment.
Good.
I don't remember how it started.
Throw it to Dad.
Oh boy. We just found it. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad!
Whoa!
You made time.
That was perfect. Okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me.
Nice.
But I heard every word.
Welcome back. We're here talking with Josh Rhodes, who serves as the City of Covington liaison to restaurants. And Josh, you're now working in the city's economic development department, and I know the city attaches a great deal of importance in having, strong restaurants to make the city a magnet for business. Some people don't understand that connection between having strong restaurants and having strong businesses, outside of the food industry, normal 9-to-5 type operators. Talk about that connection and how that works.
Well, it's kind of funny you bring that up. I was just at a restaurant in downtown Cincinnati this past week called Court Street Lobster Bar. Next to Court Street Lobster Bar is another establishment that hasn't reopened because of the pandemic called the Fiery Hen. Sitting there talking with the server about, why isn't the Fiery Hen open? Well, the Fiery Hen was a lunch spot, and we got a lot of business from Kroger, the Kroger offices, but Kroger's not working in the offices anymore, and so therefore the business owners had to make that decision to not reopen that establishment because of the fear of losing money, and so that's kind of is the scenario. Restaurants and bars depend on businesses, but businesses depend on these restaurants as well for their social gatherings, their happy hours, their meetings. You take a customer out to lunch. It very much is intertwined and connected economically. And having these types of establishments where people are comfortable walking out of their office, grabbing a quick bite to eat, getting back to their desk, or hosting a happy hour or some type of private events for customers, important VIPs. Both of these industries rely heavily on one another to kind of support each other.
I know a couple of years ago when Huntington moved some of their credit operations downtown in the central business district, with the snap of the fingers in a week, we had 100 new people downtown looking for a place to have lunch. That's kind of unusual in Covington. Typically, we get a lot of growth in River Center, but when it comes to the central business district, it's an accumulative effect of this new business opened and it's 6 people here, 8 people there. But when you add 100 people, that's a lot of people, and so they want to know where they could eat at that time. We gave them some ideas with some of the restaurants and set up specials for them, which kind of helped some of the restaurants. But yeah, for some of those businesses, they live or die by those big businesses being nearby and having that steady stream of customers.
Yeah, absolutely. At Malones, just a working partnership with Legacy Financial, our neighbors right across the street. Every week we're I guess lucky enough or thankful enough to have them purchase lunch for their whole office. We will make taco bars for them, all types of different unique items, and go over and feed their staff. And it's important, to keep your employees happy, and the social aspect of bars and restaurants kind of fulfills some of those needs that we as people need.
Right. Let's talk about how the city has been able to help businesses in Roebling Point, Central Business District, River Center, and Mainstrasse. What are some of the different kinds of things, programs, incentives, and other forms of assistance that the city has provided during the summer of 2020?
The first initiative that I saw from the city that I was still on the other side of things when this happened was the emergency rent subsidiary, where the city was offering forgivable grants for up to $2,000 to help pay your mortgage or to help pay your rent for the month. That was one of the first steps that the city took. Second step is they hired me as a consultant into
Brilliant.
they did a great job there. They really did.
Yeah.
But I think for myself and for the city, I think that, I don't think either one of us would have realized how well this has been working out. I'm able to kind of give them perspective of what the restaurant owner's thinking, feeling,
right.
At these times, and especially at these times, there can be a lot of emotions and a lot of people thinking about, well, my business, and the unique position that we've been put in from the city perspective is. You talked about these different districts, the Central Business District, Roebling Point, Mainstrasse, it's very hard to just throw a blanket over the city and take one approach for each zone or district. Because each district has, over in Roebling Point, we have a lot of law offices because of where we're located next to the courthouse. Mm-hmm. Mainstrasse has everything from consignment shops to, coffee stores, different types of businesses that all need to see support. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Central Business District, where we have Metzger Eye Care, we have AGI Architecture, we have Kleinberg's. So just closing down a street and closing down parking near their businesses would negatively impact them. So we've been able to kind of take a look at each zone, each district, and try to uniquely kind of a la carte, if you will, what's going to work best for this neighborhood, what's going to work best for this neighborhood, and through 2 executive orders now, that's how we've achieved where we've gotten to today. Our first executive order is we closed down off-street parking upon request. We provided city barricades to close the parking off and let the restaurants expand out into these spaces. The city's made a big effort to, especially on my end, to facilitate the paperwork, the administrative side of things. Sometimes this stuff could take a couple weeks at a time. We're getting things turned around 24, 48 hours thanks to David Johnston and his executive assistant, Elizabeth Glass. And then so our latest step was to start closing down roads. And so over in Roebling Point, we were able to close down 2 lanes of Park Place and Court Street, right. And then close down some additional parking in front of Keystone Bar and Grill off Park Place for them to expand their footprint. And then the Central Business District, we have the parking cove off West 7th Street in front of Braxton Brewery, Parlor on 7th, McChick's, and Rich's Proper that we've been able to successfully close down from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night for them to come on out, put their patio tables out there. A lot of people are purchasing picnic tables and things of that nature that they can move in and out of the street because come 7 a.m., that street's back open and that parking's back open to support the other businesses in the area.
I think having somebody with your background really helped. I'm sure you probably advocated more strongly for those businesses to get that second executive order in particular done because of your experience. And I congratulate the city for listening to you and making that happen.
Well, the mayor and the city manager have done a great job in taking my perspectives and with their knowledge of the city and coming up with something that works for both sides of the party. As we passed that first executive order and we everything after the dust settled after it, I just found myself keep on asking is, what more can we do? We need to do more. Because we talked a little bit about it earlier in the show, this is a fight for their survival. We're looking at, we're in the summer months here where outdoor dining is crucial, especially in a time where the consumer just feels more comfortable being outdoors. You hear about, the COVID being able to be, is in the air and HVAC systems could circulate it around. And so, as consumers start to come back out to these establishments, they're more comfortable to sit out in an outdoor dining area. But it's also important to expand their outdoor dining because we don't believe, the city doesn't believe that these guidelines are going to go away anytime soon. Come November, December, we're going to see outdoor dining go away because of the weather and just the nature of it. And, we're going to be going back to indoors. But the guidelines are still going to be there. We'll still more than likely be at 50% capacity or less, depending on how testing continues to go here in Northern Kentucky. But with having the 6 feet of distance between everybody, with the size of some of these establishments, as we talked about in Mainstrasse, they might not be able to meet that 50% capacity while they meet that 6-foot guideline. So we felt that it was necessary to kind of make a push for them to capture as much business as they can through these summer and fall months to kind of help survive the winter.
As we talk about the winter, before the pandemic, carryout was kind of an afterthought, I think, from a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
And moving forward, it's really going to be critical as we get into these colder months.
I agree. Carryout is definitely going to be on everybody's, top of their list. You have to push carryout because there has to be a way to offset that. Just because you're at 50% capacity doesn't mean your electric bill is going to get any cheaper, because if you're running the same hours, same thing with your rent and things. So you have to find ways to offset the loss of sales, and most businesses right now are taking what we're estimating on an average of a 30 to 40% hit.
Wow. Okay, so as we wrap up here, as we look at the normal restaurant operation, say you've got the crystal ball, it's the middle of 2021 when hopefully everybody has been vaccinated and protected from COVID-19. How else will restaurants maybe look different from the way we knew things prior to the middle of March?
Well, I think a lot of the research and a lot of the articles that I'm reading from the experts is that restaurants are going to be changed forever. We're not going to see buffets set out anymore. We're not going to see a lot of the interactions and the touching of glassware, and so I see things staying very kind of reserved, if you will. I think a lot of these practices, these best practices that we're doing now, will still be practices that will carry on throughout the rest of a restaurant's life.
Yeah. Well, Josh, anything else quickly you want to add at the end? Did we forget anything, or is that about covered?
Not
everything?
off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all the good work that you're doing with the city. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
And you've been watching Getting Down to Business. The CBC appreciates the partnership with the Telecommunications Board in providing this program. And don't forget, if you want more information, say you're a business in Covington and you're not connected to other businesses or to the CBC, we'd love to talk to you. Our website is www.cbcky.com. And again, we'd love to hear from you and help you in the same way that Josh is doing great help for our restaurants. So thank you for tuning in to today's installment of Getting Down to Business. I'm your host, Pat Frew. Take care.